So the homosexual squatter resists the truth. And so this is in 2 Timothy 3, and it goes from 1 till about 8. And I'm going to read it and give you some insight into it. So this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Janus and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. So I have heard multiple ministers who are YouTubers um, talk about 2 Timothy 3, and they tend to focus on the idea of verses 5 through 8 mainly. And the when they creep into houses and lead captive silly women, with laden with sins, led away with divers lusts. One of the ideas that I thought that they put forth was interesting, was that these are women who are looking for an answer to their problem, um, and they're seeking different ways, reading up on materials, asking questions, going to therapy, doing a number of things, right? Um, to get to the answer, but they're not finding the answer because they are ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Something is blocking their understanding, or blocking them from for receiving the understanding. And receiving the understanding really is receiving the truth about the situation. That's why you see now as Janus and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. They resisting the truth about something. Because like I said earlier, if you are a person who is homeless 25 years, you are resisting the truth about the situation, about your complicity in the situation. There's a YouTube channel, Invisible People, I think, and there was an interview that the guy did with a homeless person who had cancer. He actually had cancer, and I think it was at the later stages. And I don't know whatever happened to him, because when I watched it about maybe a year and a half ago, and then it came back up on my timeline again, and I watched it again. I think it was a short this time, and he just kind of resolved to continue to be homeless while having cancer. He doesn't have any insurance. He can't go into a doctor. And I don't know if he was trying to seek for a place to live or something, but he had cancer. The thing about people sometimes, and there has been a lot of situations where people have gone on camera and they say they don't want to go back in, they don't want to go into the homeless shelter because it's unsafe and unsanitary, and then they don't like the rules, which is really the truth about the situation. They don't like the rules, but they would rather live out on the streets, in the elements, on the pavement, risk violence, risk violence, risk rape, risk a number of things that could end their life. They would rather do that than to go into a sheltered environment and at least stay there for a month. Because if you could, and it depends on the shelter. Some shelters are for a month, for 30 days, some are for 60, 90 days. If you get on program, you can get on program for 6 months, where they let you stay there and you pay some rent, right? You work a job and you pay like a little bit of rent. And then some programs are long-term programs, 18 months to 2 years. Okay, and get in there, because they have the resources that you need, right? If you get in, uh, and you're bringing in some disability money, okay, You can stay there 6 months. It gives you some planning time. You can get you a PO box. You can get some mail to that PO box. You can get stuff started like the food stamps or Medicaid, Medicare, or something like that. You can get a number of things started. You can have access to numbers and agencies and things like that. But the truth of the matter, and this is truth for anyone who is a homosexual squatter or who's in a situation that has exceeded its life, that has exceeded its season. The truth of the matter is you resist the truth about the situation, about who you are as an individual. Um, if you are moving from place to place to place, uh, that is you mimicking stability because you think you got a place to live, but you don't have a place. Even sleeping on someone's couch is still you homeless. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, because that is not your place. And at any time they could decide to say you got to go. They can pack your stuff and open the doors and you would have to leave. And so when you're thinking about this type of person who has a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, this type of person might come off as a religious person, might come off and say they're Christian, may even say that they're a preacher, ordained preacher. They may say a number of things, but they have a form of godliness. They don't really understand who God truly is, because God is also a God who will correct you for your disobedience. They don't see disobedience. They see that I'm a minister and I'm here to help you, but they don't want to do it in line with how God would have them to do it. They just want to. And in other words, a lot of these people who are out here calling themselves ministers are not called by God. They just called themselves. They figure they can learn a few things, go take a test, get the ministry license, um, put on a collar, try to go get them a church, and the goal for them really is to get the money from the church, the tithes money from the church, the offering, and then preach a message or two. Because when you listen to them, you don't know what they're talking about. You have no idea what they are talking about. They cannot stitch one ideal to the next. They just It's extremely general, whatever they talk. We got to, like, if they have a Thanksgiving message, like they're called from the main pastor to give a Thanksgiving message or something like that. Yeah, they'll stand up there in the pulpit and say, "Yeah, we got to be more thankful. We got to be more thankful. God is calling us to be more thankful on this Thanksgiving day. We got to be more thankful." And they'll just keep repeating that. And sometimes they may deviate a little bit, but they'll just keep repeating the same statement over and over and over. They haven't opened up the Bible. They open up the Bible to make you think that they're going to preach from the Bible, but that's just performance. That's just to mimic the idea of what a ministry really is supposed to be doing, which is preaching from the Bible. They're not going to do that. They're going to quote somebody. "Oh yeah, I was listening to somebody and they were telling me how I read this book and they were telling me that people need to be more thankful." And you know what? I agree with that. We really need to be more thankful, because I know in my time we didn't have those problems. Our parents made sure that we were thankful and everything. And so they just keep recycling the same type of statement, doing a deviation of that statement, repurposing it in a little way, but they don't have a message. So then when you have a homosexual squatter in your house who thinks exactly the same way, and they may do this idea where, yeah, I mean, I have this dream. I really have this dream, and I know I can do it. And I'm just looking for somebody to help me and everything. And but this dream, I just got this dream. But they haven't told you what the dream is. They haven't told you the steps that they have taken to date to accomplish the dream. They're just repeating the same statement, and women get pulled in because women tend to be people who want to help. Women are the ones who kind of have a vision about things. Okay, you got a dream. Okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, or whatever. But when you try to do something with the person, to try to help them to achieve their dream, somehow they set back the situation. They get into a distraction. They cause a situation where they go and cheat with somebody else, or they get you mad. They provoke you to anger and things like that. And really, what that is that they don't have a true dream. They just pushing that idea because they know someone is going to grab onto it. And the goal is to be able to stay in the place with you. So if they can keep pushing the dream, and pushing the dream of y'all being together and working on the dream, and pushing the dream of y'all one day making it, okay, you attach hope to it, and you stay connected to it, and essentially it becomes a soul tie. You you become soul tied because you're still hoping for the hope that they claim that they're hoping for. And so then you become a silly woman, laden with sins, because then you're not married. So there is fornication in the mix. So you're still being um, um, soothed by the situation in that way. And so then you go out and you sort of almost look like them, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. That you don't, you, it, the, there's such a gap in between the ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth, that you don't see the situation for what it really is. And what the truth of the matter is, again, they resist the truth. At the same time, they're liars. The homosexual squatter is a liar. And if you see the truth for what it is, that they are liars, because they are men of corrupt, they resist the truth, and they're men of corrupt minds. They're reprobate concerning the faith. They don't even support the faith that they're calling them having faith about. I just know this dream is going to come true. I've been working on it, and I've been this or whatever. And then you ask them what they've been working on. I don't know. I just been kind of working on stuff and everything like that. But I know it's going to come true. They don't know that. They don't know that because they haven't put any effort into ensuring that it's going to come to pass. So again, look at the situation for what it really is. When you're dealing with anybody, really, not just the homosexual squatter, but when you're dealing with anybody, really listen to what they're not saying. My stepfather told me that. Listen to what someone is not saying. There's not saying something about something. And so they're not taking accountability. They're not taking responsibility. They're not asking God for help. They're not asking anybody for help. They're just moving in, and they are sort of biding their time to when you figure them out. And they're hoping that you don't figure them out. Sometimes you'll come home and they'll have dinner on the stove, actually have dinner on the stove, because they can cook. Sometimes they'll come home and they may bring a flower to you or something like that. And that's when they do that, it's usually because they can sense that you're about to kick them out. You're tired. You're burned out with their lying. Okay. And so they don't want to receive the truth. Every time you keep giving them answers and direction and wisdom, they keep resisting it. You get tired. You get burned out. So the the best way to handle this type of situation is to understand that they resist the truth, and uh they not they're really liars, and they will keep up the lie as long as they can until they can't. And even then, even when they can't anymore, they still will keep pulling at you and trying to get you to change your mind, which opens the door for them to stay another week, another month, another 3 months. And by you look up one day and they've been staying with you for 3 years and you didn't even know it. Time passed by just that quickly.